Picture a pet rabbit. Chances are you're imagining Bugs Bunny crunching on a carrot or huddled over a ceramic bowl filled with seeds, dried fruit, and bright muesli pieces. It's exactly what cartoons and pet store aisles have taught us to expect. But exotic veterinarians will tell you a very different story. That exact menu, the carrots, the sugary fruits, the colorful mixed bowls, is directly responsible for 5 of the top 6 health emergencies they treat in their clinics. To understand why, we have to look at how wild rabbits evolved. Biologists classify them as concentrate selectors. In a sparse, low quality meadow, a wild rabbit will spend hours chewing through tough, nutrient poor grasses just to locate a few rare, highly nutritious shoots. This diagram shows the danger. When captivity swaps that sparse meadow for a bowl of commercial treats, the rabbit remains wired to prioritize high calorie foods. They gorge on massive sugar spikes of a muesli mix, completely ignoring the roughage they need to survive. It is the equivalent of handing a toddler a bowl of bran flakes mixed with candy. They pick out the candy. Over time, this daily selection leads to extreme weight gain, overgrown teeth that can pierce the jaw, and lethal digestive failure. Keeping a domestic rabbit healthy requires throwing out our human definition of a treat. We have to stop feeding them like characters in a storybook and start feeding them like the highly specialized biological machines they actually are. That biological specialization begins at the very front of the skull. The mouth is the first place a poor diet triggers a catastrophic failure, because a rabbit's anatomy requires the constant mechanical destruction of fibrous plants. A rabbit's teeth never stop growing. Without the coarse, abrasive texture of grass hay acting as internal sandpaper to grind them down, those teeth will quickly overgrow and cause fatal complications. The damage of a bad diet also moves deep into the digestive tract. When sugary foods like carrots, apples, and commercial muesli enter the small intestine, they trigger an invisible internal crisis. A rabbit's digestive motility relies on a specific hormone called motilin. This hormone acts as the engine that keeps the gut moving, ensuring food and waste are constantly pushed through the system. Looking at this internal flowchart, watch what happens when a heavy load of simple sugars hits the small intestine. As sugar molecules are absorbed into the tissue, the chemical reaction actively suppresses the body's ability to produce motilin. Without that hormone, the engine stalls. The movement of the digestive tract slows down and eventually comes to a grinding halt. Sugary fruits and yogurt drops strike at the rabbit's hormonal balance, suppressing the motilin signals that drive digestion and leaving the physical motor of the gut paralyzed. Further down the tract lies the cecum. Rabbits do not digest food the way humans do. They are hindgut fermenters. Their cecum acts as a massive fermentation chamber where specialized bacteria break down complex plant fibers. This chamber relies on a delicate, highly specific pH balance. When a rabbit is fed a high carbohydrate or sugary diet, the leftover simple sugars flood the cecum and aggressively alter that environment. The body recognizes the danger immediately. The rabbit's appendix goes into overdrive, pumping out massive amounts of bicarbonate in a desperate attempt to buffer the shifting pH and save the healthy flora. But the body fails to regulate the flood of sugar. The beneficial bacteria die off, creating a vacuum that allows toxic, gas-producing pathogens to multiply and overtake the gut. This chain reaction results in gastrointestinal stasis. The gut stops moving entirely, painful gas builds up, and the rabbit stops eating. GI stasis is one of the fastest, most lethal emergencies a pet rabbit can face, and in almost every case, it is triggered by an owner feeding them the wrong kind of treats. Keeping a rabbit's anatomy functioning requires a strict, uncompromising routine. To prevent the teeth from overgrowing and the gut from stalling, veterinarians use a precise dietary blueprint. This proportional pyramid outlines the biological requirements of a healthy rabbit. The massive foundational base, making up 85% of everything the animal eats, must be fresh grass hay. In practical terms, a rabbit needs to consume its own body size in hay every single day. Varieties like timothy, meadow, or orchard grass must be available 24/7. There is one strict exception here: alfalfa hay. Because it is a legume and extremely dense in calcium, it is reserved only for growing babies or nursing mothers. For an adult, it is dangerously rich. The next 10% of the diet is reserved for fresh vegetables. The rule is 1 cup of safe, diverse leafy greens for every 5 pounds of body weight, providing essential hydration and micronutrients. Pellets make up just 5% of the daily intake. That restricts a rabbit to roughly an eighth to a half cup of plain Timothy based pellets. No colorful shapes, no seeds either, and absolutely no muesli mixes. That leaves carrots, apples, and bananas at the very tip of the pyramid, making up less than 5% of the diet. Because of their sugar content, they are rare anomalies, safe to offer only once or twice a week in tiny amounts. Prioritizing fiber over sugar respects the fundamental limits of the rabbit's anatomy. By managing these strict volumes, you preserve the function of a highly specialized digestive system and provide these animals with years of additional health.